in the Light of Truth, the Grail Message by Abdushin. And I am Saad in southeast London, where right now it's dark and it's been, I would say, overcast and foggy in the morning. And now it's just, let's say, it's just mild now. And joining me as usual is Gregory. Gregory, how are you and how is the weather where you are?
It's already dark here, and it is well.
It is well. Good, good. So welcome, listeners. As I said, the aim of this show is to introduce you to the spiritual knowledge in the light of truth, the Grail Message by Abdushin. And we have a topic for discussion every week. The topic for tonight is the importance of family. You're welcome to join us with any questions or comments, and you can contact us on our UK number, which is 079 39 641 958. You can call, text, or use WhatsApp. And if you're outside of UK, it is 0044 79 39 641 958. Again, you can call, text, or use WhatsApp. I'm going to begin with what is the Grail Message? The Grail Message in the Light of Truth by Abdushin is a spiritual knowledge of life. It offers an explanation of the world, a picture of creation on the basis of natural laws. Its lectures contain valuable basic elements as a help in life, for through the knowledge mediated, the reader is again brought closer to life and led back to God. The Grail Message deals with important fundamental questions of life by explaining in a clear and logical way the automatic working of the laws of nature, the whole weaving of creation, allowing every process to be recognized and thereby the purpose of our whole life. It is directed at the individual and speaks to the innate experiences of the human being, their strengths and weaknesses. Thus, every reader has the opportunity to discover through the intuitive perception if what is stated is the truth. Combining with matter-of-fact reasoning, a complete world picture arises, where there is no separation between the visible world and the great world beyond the five senses, nor any separation between scientific and religious striving for knowledge. I'd like to give you a couple of quotes from the author of the Grail Message, Abdushin. The hearer and reader of my lectures should always work within himself, keenly probing and building bridges from one lecture to the other, as well as out into the great and small world happenings. Only then will he be able to understand the Grail Message and find that it gradually shifts itself into one complete whole without leaving any gaps. Again and again in all the happenings, the reader will come back to the basic features. He can explain everything without having to change even one single sentence. The word of the Grail Message lives, so that it permits only those people who really carry the honest desire in their souls to find abundantly. All else is automatically rejected by it. For the arrogant and those who seek superficially, the message will remain the book with 7 seals. And I'd like to give you one more quote from the author. I wish to fill the gaps which have so far always remained unanswered in the souls of men, and which never leave any serious thinker in peace, if he earnestly seeks for the truth. So listeners, just to remind you, the topic we're discussing tonight is the importance of family. You're welcome to join us with any questions or comments by contacting us on our UK number, which is 079 39 641 958. You can call, text, or use WhatsApp. And if you're outside of UK, it is 0044 79 39 641 958. Again, you can call, text, or use WhatsApp. Now, Gregory, as usual, you know, I like to look in the dictionary, the meaning of the key words in the topic tonight. So the topic tonight is the importance of family. And the first key word is their importance, or let's say even important. And so I looked that up in the dictionary, and it says of great significance or value. So please, is there anything you could say about that definition? I think you're on mute, Gregory.
It is helpful enough.
Okay, fine. So we will continue. And the next keyword is family. So that one in the dictionary, it says a group of one or more parents and their children living together as a unit. So this is the definition of family. A group of one or more parents and their children living together as a unit. Is that, let's say, a good definition for our discussion?
It is surprising that the dictionary will provide such a limited basis for family. It's not inclusive.
Right. Actually, sorry, Gregory, I forgot to mention that there's a second line in the dictionary, and let me say that as well, and that is all the descendants of a common ancestor. Does that expand it enough for you?
That is, well, it doesn't have to be for me, but it is, that one can be used as a starter and subsequently will be expanded.
Okay, fine. So that's good. We'll continue as we carry on our discussion, we'll continue that. Now, Gregory, there's some things, and listeners actually, just a couple of points I want to make tonight. As usual, we look at the news, what's going on, and incredibly, not that I planned it, but apparently the Earth has now reached a population of 8 billion in the last 24 hours. So, and just a little bit other facts I could relate to that. So that's, as I said, we have reached 8 billion on this Earth in the last 24 hours. And it was 7 billion in 2011. So that's just 11 years ago. And then, I know this can become boring, but just to look at it a bit, like a bit of an comparison, you can say. And it was 6 billion in 6 billion in 1999. So that's also about 11 years before that. And then 5 billion in 87, which is about let me check. That's 12 years. So it's look very similar, 10, 11 to 12 years every time we get a billion added. But if I just go back a little bit more, it was only 2 billion in 1928, and 1 billion it was, I'm just checking my information before I say something on it. Yes, 2 billion in 1928, and when was it 1 billion? I seem to have lost that number somehow. Okay, I can tell you some other number. So in 1800 it was almost 1 billion, and in 1700 it was 600 million. And then I'll just stop there. So you can see in the last 100 years, even less than that, there has been an exponential increase. Really quite dramatic. So just we'll take a note of that for now, and just to continue for the future, they're expecting 9 billion to come in 2038 and 10 billion in 2056. So it's actually slowing down. So it was 11 years, 12 years gap between each billion in the last few billions, but in the future, it seems to be going almost 20 years every time for 1 billion extra. So there's a slowing down going on as well in the future. That's a prediction, at least. So that is just information I know, but I just thought I would say that. And the other thing I wanted to point out, which is in the news, the G20 countries are meeting in Indonesia, and it appears they're not able to work together to come to some declare a sort of a agreed communique and agree even for something that is more to do with the Ukraine war, apparently, and the other one is that they're not able to agree some economic path forward as well. I know it's not over yet, but that was the current status. So just, I thought I'd just throw that in, listeners. Now, and I'll bring it up a bit more later. So, Gregory, you know, the topic is importance of family, and what I was wondering, I know how we said the definition of family is sort of there's a common ancestor, or let's say relations, family members, let's say, that are connected together. Now, we know when we speak about family, it can be much broader. Just now I mentioned the world population, and we think of the world as a family, and when we have certain organizations like UN, and we try to work together. So that's another thing to bear in mind in our discussion for tonight. Now, let's go to the basic sort of understanding of family, which is, you know, father, mother, and children, or parents and children. So what I'd like to ask Gregory, obviously, each member of the family has their role to play. So let's say parents, they look after the children, and then the children, I guess I guess the main thing is they're just growing and enjoying their sort of journey. I don't know if they have any sort of expectations of duty. So, Gregory, let's look at the roles of the family members. Is there, Gregory, for the main role of the parents, is it to look after the children in a family?
After all, the children came in through the parents. And when these children are born, it is already assumed that the parents have responsibilities, for these children cannot help themselves. Therefore, the parents must take that responsibility in bringing up the children.
Absolutely. I mean, it's so obvious, you know, but and that is what it means, isn't it? A family is meant to be this way. Now, do the children have any role to play there as well, Gregory? Because it looks like for them they're less learning, and you know, is there any expectation for the children to do something as well?
Until the children reach that age of maturity, when they are able to understand the language that the family speaks, the language of the mother and the father, most of the time they are in a learning mode. So one should not be in a hurry to throw responsibilities on these children who are still in a learning mode.
Thank you for that. Now, we've been looking at let's say in a typical example way, and I'm thinking, in different parts of the world, there are, let's say, different levels of wealth or poverty. Right, it can be in the same country. It doesn't have to be in a different parts of the world. And then, but when it's in, let's say, a general case of one country where, let's say, there's a lot of poverty, and where there, what I'm trying to say, Gregory, when there are certain pressures on parents, and then maybe they want their children to work and do things which are not for expected of children, and so that, and then the children get actually in. What I'm trying to say, when there are those type of situations, is it okay for the children to become like adults there, or act like, when I say act like adults, to do things which normally adults would be expected to do?
When someone hasn't got the skills to accomplish certain tasks, we won't grant them these tasks to be accomplished. Of course, children, if they themselves have the skills, then they may participate depending on their ages. But if they are only just growing up, learning to know how to accomplish certain tasks, it would be unwise to throw so much responsibilities on them.
I hear you there, Gregory. Just I'm wondering, when there's, let's say, a situation of survival in terms of money or whatever is needed to live, and there's a scarcity of work or something like this, and then the parents would send out the children, or maybe, yeah, that's what I'm thinking of. So let's say in ideal circumstances, that should never happen. Parents should do their job and the children just be their children. But sometimes there are certain circumstances where that the children have to play this role of, like I said, adult, or work and so on. Is that, how can I say?
You yourself already said,
yeah,
children.
Mm.
Why would it be right to encumber children with the responsibilities of adults?
Yes. I was thinking in the back of my mind, it could also be a good way for them to develop quicker and take the responsibility of the adult, not necessarily the whole responsibility, but some of the responsibility. And as they grow to the adult age, they would be already sort of prepared. This is what I thought is possible advantage.
Well, it depends on the type of tasks which have been assigned to these children. If the task, depending on their age, is to fetch something for the parents, to go shopping, or to bring something from another place, then that is okay. If, however, they are being forced to go out to earn money through very tenuous tasks, which they themselves have not yet acquired, then that would be utterly wrong.
Thank you for that. Thank you for that clarity, Gregory. Now, what I'm wondering also, we have family on the earth. So is there a spiritual purpose as well within a family sort of group? The purpose of a family, does it also give spiritual benefits? Because on the surface, it will look like, it is the propagation of humanity is the reason for children, to have children and continue that. So it's looks like an earthly purpose in it. But does it have a spiritual purpose? the family.
When that expression family is used, there are two perspectives. One of the perspective is the earthly perspective, in which blood relation is considered. That is generally what many refer to as family. The other perspective is the spiritual perspective. That perspective in which human personalities have the same goal, the same spiritual goal of maturity. That in itself must be categorized as family. Therefore, when one considers the earthly family, that are the individuals of those earthly family only came together in order, through their activities, to mature. In that case, you find that the parents make provision for these children, because they are children, to be able to mature, and subsequently, when they themselves, the children, get to a specific age, that means they become adults, depending on the challenges, they are supposed to proceed further, to experience on their own, just like their parents left their own grandparents to proceed on their own. So the experiencing continues.
Thank you for that, Gregory. As usual, we always need to look at the bigger picture and not just the immediate picture, and which you could say is the earthly viewpoint, and because that makes you one-sided in your sort of focus. And when you have the bigger picture, then you have an all-rounded picture. So thank you for that. Now, going back to the family unit, with father, mother, and children, in this modern world, sometimes you see the father role and the mother role can be played by either, person. But is there, let's say, Gregory, the role of the father is, meant to stay that what a father is meant to be, or can the mother play the role of the father? Again, what I'm saying today, Gregory, in today's world, we have both parents working, and in some cases only one parent working, and then let's say in most circumstances they think, oh, it's the mother who should bring up the children, and so she stays at home, or she does work part-time, or something of that nature. And then in some cases it is the father, the husband, or just say father, who does that role, So what I'm asking, Gregory, is there sort of an ideal way how a family role should be? A father should, earn the money, and the mother should stay at home, or it's flexible?
When matters like this are discussed, one should revert back to nature. The child, the preparation for the child came through the parents. And it was the mother that had to harbor the physical body until the time of birth. In that case, that which is homely, the mother needs to handle. It is the task of the father to a large extent provide the resources and the protection for the family in order that the family should develop harmoniously.
Apologies, I was on mute. So thank you, Gregory, for your answer there. So yes, as you've said, we should look at nature as an example for us, how we play our roles in the family. Then Gregory, let me ask you, what are the consequences when we don't follow, you could say, these ways of nature in the family cases? So is there some disadvantage or some, I use this word in quotes, disbenefit? Is there something like that when, let's say, roles of the father and the mother are not in accordance with nature?
When one mentioned nature, what was referring to, or what is being referred to, are the laws of nature through which even a family came into existence, in which the individual came into existence, through which even the neighborhood, all that exists in nature came into existence. That's basically the laws that do the maintenance. That is what one is referring to. And in that case, things must be viewed more from the intuition rather than just taking things in an arbitrary way. So intuitively, one must ensure that the lighter tasks, the more intuitive tasks, are handled by that personality who has been endowed by nature. And that personality is the woman of the family. And the more rough tasks are handled by the man. Most of the time, some of these tasks involve that the man needs to go out from the home to accomplish some task. So, although there are variations, if, however, the roles are reversed, then those will be a violation of the roles which nature has provided. One does not hear or one does not know that is the man who carries the child before birth, nor is the man who gives birth to the child, or is the man who takes care of the child until it comes to maturity as such. So, reversing the role in which that which is more gentle is now turned to that which is rough, one will find that the intuitiveness which the woman has, that will be stifled, and that does not augur well for a family. For what you will then have with the stifling of intuition, subsequent children will have torn intuitive perceptions.
Thank you very much for this answer, Gregory. We're going to explore that a bit further a little bit later. Dear listeners, I would like to let you know you're listening to Bless Radio. It's a Tuesday evening spiritual discussion program. The aim of the show is to introduce you to the spiritual knowledge in the light of truth, the Grail message by Abdushin. And if you want to know more about the Grail message or want to get a copy of the Grail message for yourself, you can go to this website, which is www.grailmessage.com. I'll spell that, www.grail, Grail, message, MESSAGE.com. And the topic we're discussing tonight is the importance of family. You are welcome to join us with any questions or comments by contacting us on our UK number, which is 079 39 641 958. You can call, text, or use WhatsApp. And if you're outside of UK, it is 0044 7939 641 958. Again, you can call, text, or use WhatsApp. And we are broadcasting on Bless Radio 1, that's the number 1.com. You can also listen to us on YouTube. Go to youtube.com and type in the search box Bless Radio 1, again the number 1, space, live stream. That's for the live show. And you can also listen to us, you can listen to a recording of this show the next day, again on YouTube. Go to youtube.com and type in the search box Bless Radio 1, number 1 again, space, Grail message, space, the topic of the show, which tonight is the importance of family. And of course, you can listen to our previous shows as well. Thirdly, we're broadcasting on Zeno. That's ZENO.FM/Bless Radio 1, the number 1 again. Now, Gregory, just before what I mentioned about the topic and so on just now, we were talking about the role of the family members, which is father and mother, and refer to the laws of nature there. I just want to again explore what has been happening, in the modern times. We're having, let's say, a variety of family units, if I can refer to that. Let's say single parents and children together. Okay, let's look at that. We'll go one by one. I think it's better to do one thing at a time. So usually that happens because there's been a breakup between the parents, a divorce or something like that, or the relationship broke down somehow, and the one partner left and the other partner took over the children, and the other partner is still involved, but not, let's say, fully as before. So again, Gregory, when this sort of situation arises, and again taking note of the laws of nature in here, is that like, again, I have a difficulty to say the word, how to describe it. So is there some, again, I use the word disbenefit, but is there some disadvantages, let's say, when that situation, let's say it's not anybody wanted that, but that's what's happened. So is there a disadvantage when we have single parents family? And if so, what can be done about it?
The scenario you just mentioned may be classified as very challenging for one person to cope with. Whether it is a disadvantage or not depends on how those who are involved in that responded to it. When you then ask what should be done about it, very simply, those who are involved in that scenario should strive through their intuition to follow very calmly the laws through which they themselves came into existence.
Thank you for that, Gregory. Now, just to add, you could say another factor or point that happens in this type of sort of one-parent family, in let's say in some cases, let's say the two parents are at odds with each other, and the children are used sometime as a I can't even think of a right word for it, but as a sort of part of a game of you know, like one person has the children and the other one doesn't. The other partner is left, and he wants to see the children, he or she, and then the other one, the parent, will use that as a I really can't think of the right word, but almost like a political football to do what they wish to do, get what they want. And it's like I don't know if you can help me with a word for that, Gregory, which it's not political football, I know, but it's something they use that as a, you know, to get what they want. So my question on this is, Gregory, when people are, how can I say, doing it for their selfish reasons, obviously the impact is on the children and also the other person, you know, who's, let's say, being denied. You know, when that happens for a very long time, Gregory, when they can't reach any resolution, what would be the consequences, you know, through the laws of nature? Because people do their own thing, but what would the laws of nature sort of, how would they respond to this situation?
The laws of nature need not respond. In fact, they do not respond. What the laws of nature do is to help in the weavings of the human personality, the activities of the weaving. So if, like, one considers the scenario which you just painted, one must come to the understanding that the motives behind many a person, the motives for their activities, if one considers one's intuition, one's thoughts as another category, and one's physical deeds as a final category, you will find one's intuition is sometimes, or most of the time, not in harmony with one's thoughts, as one's thinking, and one's thinking is not in harmony with one's deeds. So you will find these are three different weavings. And with each weaving, in nature, that's which is the motive, is what the returns will be. If the motive has been that of helpfulness or of wickedness, that which the human spirit, through its activities, has put in creation, that is what they subsequently will have to experience, will have to reap. So one thing becomes very clear. The human personality is free to weave in accordance with the free will granted to it through nature. What is not free are the consequences which have to return in accordance with its motive as at the time of weaving. Though children may be involved, it remains the same. Children, they themselves need to go through certain experiences which they, along the line, might have woven even before they incarnated. But it is the tasks of parents to ensure harmony in all they do, for that is the vow they have taken when they decided to have children.
Thank you for that, Gregory. I'm thinking also, just slightly diverting from where I was going to go, about different types of families that we see in the world today. I just want to, something else just occurred to me, because people, let's say most families, or most parents I should say, they put their children first, above work, above everything else. And it sounds sort of good in one sense, because they think, oh, these children depend on us and so on, and we must do the best for them. But is that really, let's say, in accordance with the laws of nature, to put children always first?
Well, you yourself said children. When one is referring to children, one must ask, at what age? When there is a baby who is not even up to 3 months or a month, that particular individual, a child, is completely dependent on others. Should that child not be considered? Or should the parents say they shouldn't put the child first and ignore the child? These are the questions each person must ask themselves. What is important is provision should be made. Adequate provision should be made for the care of the child. Not for nothing did the child have to come through this particular parent. So it will not be right to just ignore the child that is still dependent on the parent. However, when children get to the age of maturity of adulthood, if the parents have helped in the right development of the child, then the child should gladly be matured enough to move forward in order to experience for himself or herself just as the parents themselves had to do.
Thank you for that, Gregory. I was thinking, as you were answering, I was thinking along the lines that, parents sacrifice a lot for their children. Let's say for education, they let's say the father or mother, they work long hours just to earn the money to pay for, let's say, private education, or let's say they may go, let's say, they make a lot of, I will call it, it looks like extra sacrifices for the sake of the child, so more than the basic that you were just telling about, looking after a child, and in that sense. So is that going too far? When because of course every child, they need feeding, they need clothing, they need a stable home and all that. So if we assume that's the basic, requirement and that is provided, but then some parents think, oh, we want our child, even they say we want our children to be better than what we went through. So is that right to work yourself, if I can say use this word, to the bone, for the sake of the child?
It will not be right to make comparison. However, it is right if parents go the extra mile to ensure the children have the adequate education. By education, one is referring to the right development of the brains such that there is no one-sidedness. How the parents go about it vary from parent to parent in that.
Oh, are you there, Gregory? We've lost your voice there. I think, Gregory, I know you're not on mute, but somehow your voice is not there. Might be just, let me just put you, make you rejoin the call. So just hold on, listeners. I'm going to bring Gregory back to the call. Okay, Gregory, you're back.
Can you hear me?
Yes, your voice had completely disappeared, so I couldn't hear. So please start where you were.
Can you ask the question, please?
Yes, I want to remind myself. I mean, the question was about parents sacrificing themselves so much they sort of, it looks like it's too much just for the sake of the child, for the development of the child. And it's even more than, let's say, the basics. So that is what I was saying. Is that right?
Parents reserve the right to exert themselves in order to make provisions or to make adequate provisions for the education of their children. How they go about this vary from parent to parent. What one parent might say, these are the basics, that may not be sufficient for another parent. So to start comparing, this is what should be the basic of this particular child, because one is observing others, that will be wrong. Some parents will want their children to have some good intellectual education. Some may decide to work a bit harder so that their children can participate in learning music. Some may also get involved with the children to ensure that these children have more to do with the arts. It might require a bit more efforts. That could be efforts in time or efforts in financial resources. All these are in accordance with the volition to be of benefit to the child. Although a person might see it from the outside and say, no, this is going too far.
Thank you for that, Gregory. So there's no hard and fast rule, it must be this way or it must be that way. It's really, because as you can, sometimes people think, oh, the parents are being cruel to the child, pushing the child to do this or something else. And as I say, but we can't compare, like you say. It may be necessary for that child to go through that experience, and another one is already, you could say, naturally talented already, so doesn't need too much pushing. So yes, thank you for that. Another I'm sort of a little bit zigzagging at the moment, Gregory, but I'll just we'll go with what the flow is at the moment. So, you know, when let's say uh, uh, when let's say a relationship starts like through man and woman meet each other and become friends, or however it happens, a marriage comes about, or a relationship comes about together as a couple. And what I'm wondering there, Gregory, is that must be always based on love, or compatibility and so on, or because we know there's all variety of ways how people come together in marriage or in a relationship of a couple. So how two partners come together, and the way they come together, is that how can I say, very is obviously usually a very big decision. But what are the, how can I say, requirements to have the right partnership? Let's just say it like that.
When one is referring to the right partnership, first, the basis for the right partnership must be established. Only when the basis is right, that is when one has an attraction. Otherwise, there will be no attraction. And should there be an attraction, it will be that of complementarity. Complementarity in the sense, like what had been discussed before, one for all and all for one. There are many a skill, many a talent, which one has, which the other one lack, and vice versa. So in coming together, that means in an attraction, they dovetail and support one another, or support each other. That specifically is what one may refer to as love. If it is not love, then you must ask yourself, what is love?
Thank you very much for that, Gregory. Many times people come together, they think it is love, or they think there's some attraction, but when they do come together and live together, somehow they discover things about the other one that they don't want anymore, or not they don't want anymore. They just discover something, and then they say, that's not what I want to be with that sort of person. And so it's like that relationship then breaks down, let's say. And so what I'm going to ask there, Gregory, how can you be sure, maybe that's a very strong word, how can we know that the person that we are being attracted to is on the right basis? You said love there. I don't know if, let's say, everybody is capable of recognizing it properly. Let me say it that way. They could be somehow, I don't know, superficial in it and not realizing that. So is there a way that people can really recognize it, that it is right, really love and not something else?
Of course, there is a way. However, how many are prepared to follow that path? Most of the time, many assume that when love is involved, that no effort should be made and everything just falls in. Surprisingly, many a person that, in quotes, says they are in love, they like things like gold, silver, and diamond. But the efforts to polish diamond, to make it that brilliant, is ignored. That which is love first has to be polished through continuous activities. So for many who wish to or who claim to be in love, they must be prepared for the challenges. If one takes a very simple example where those people who wish to be in love or who are in love and wish to get to the highest of their talents, then they must be prepared to put in the efforts. It is the indolence, the lack of sincerity from either party that make things fall apart. But should they be earnest enough with themselves, whatever challenges that may come their way, hand in hand, they are prepared to overcome these challenges, which, strictly speaking, are not real challenges if they are earnest. So, one must ask oneself, is one really in love? If indeed that is the case, not the sentimentality which has been stressed again and again, but putting in that effort to be of benefit to another. If that is the basis, then many a challenge can be overcome for the benefit of the other.
Thank you so much for this answer, Gregory. It shows really how important is the focus, in the right focus when we're talking about a relationship here of partnership, and which is, let's say, the foundation of a family. So if we don't start properly on that basis, then in the right way, then of course we'll have a lot of trouble in the future. And so, to be aware of the duties, like we say, family, there's also the duty of working in a relationship. So that must always be rather than just be attracted by the superficial attractions, we have to go deeper and know the work that goes with what is a relationship. So thank you for that. Dear listeners, you're listening to Bless Radio. It's the Tuesday evening spiritual discussion program from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. UK time. The aim of the show is to introduce you to the spiritual knowledge in the light of truth, the Grail message by Abrushin. And we have a topic for discussion every week. The topic tonight is the importance of family. You're welcome to join us with any questions or comments by contacting us on our UK number, which is 079 39 641 958. You can call, text, or use WhatsApp. And if you're outside of UK, it is 0044 79 39 641 958. You can call, text, or use WhatsApp. And you're listening to us on, or you can listen to us on blessradio1.com. That's the number one, blessradio1, the number one.com. Also, you can listen to us on YouTube. Go to youtube.com and type in the search box, Bless Radio 1, the number one again, space, live stream. That's for the live show. You can also listen to the recording of this show, again on YouTube, go to youtube.com and type in the search box Bless Radio 1, the number 1 again, space, Grail message, space, the topic of the show, which is the importance of family. That's the topic for tonight. And you can thirdly listen to us on Zeno. That's ZENO.FM/Bless Radio 1, the number 1 again. And I just wanted to point out, if you are interested in the Grail message and want to get more information about it, or want to get a copy for yourself, you can go to this website, which is www.grailmessage.com. I'll spell that. www.grail, Grail, message, MESSAGE.com. Now, Gregory, as I said, we have like a variety of family units in this modern world, and I just want to explore the other variety and how they work, you can say. So in today's world, we have, let's say, the majority of us, not us people, let's say, the families are heterosexual, and yet we know there's some people who seem to have, let's say, different attraction, and they decide, let's say, homosexual couples, and then they decide they want to have children as well. And of course, we know, according to the laws of nature, they cannot have it in a natural way. And then they use other means, like surrogate mother, or even adoption, of course, is also possible. And other means, let's just call it that way. So, Gregory, when that happens, let's call them same-sex couples, when that sort of situation arises and children are adopted in that way, or brought in to this family unit, is there any, how can I say, again, I use the word advantage or disadvantage, is that something that can have disadvantage?
When such a scenario exists, and there are many of them, in which so-called same-sex couples, then one must ask oneself, what benefits arise from such? What benefits arise to the child and to those who are involved in this particular scenario? When examined very carefully, a lot of these things have arisen out of lifestyles. Lifestyles in the sense that many wish to have children. If one takes the case of the man and the man, they wish to have a child, and the question is, how do they bring up this child? Do they bring up this child to enlighten the child that nature permits the man and the man to have a child when they themselves know that is not the case? In the case of the woman and the woman, do they bring up the child with the personal conviction that nature permits that the woman and the woman come together to produce a child when they through their experiences, know that that is not the case. Now is a matter of choice. That which many inflict on others, in which they themselves lack any reason or conviction for it, only in the sense that they wish to have their personal lifestyle, then they have sown seeds. These seeds, they themselves will have to reap in abundance here or hereafter. But to get a more precise picture on this scenario, there is the need to examine the work in the light of truth. There are some lectures in there which give precisely the nature of the spirituality that is involved. So that, in brief, should be the pointer as to what really happens in the scenarios which you just mentioned.
Thank you, Gregory. I just want to say one point on that, because the people who are in these scenarios, I'm talking about the adult couple, a same-sex couple, they will always say, they do this for love. Of course, it is their wish as well, but they will bring up the child with love, which any other family would do the same. So, and it is said, love overcomes everything. So would that be still a way for them to have bring up a child in a, let's say, I can't even think of the right word, but which will be beneficial to the child?
Many a time people use the word love as a cover for their own personal self-aggrandizement, and say, oh, we do this for love, we do that for love. But when the chips are down, when everything is examined thoroughly, you find it's for a different reason. Love in accordance with the attraction in which people come together to be able to make provisions for the child. That is more demanding than the personal self-aggrandizement that others have used as a cover for the love of the child. The love of the child, in the sense you are educating a human personality that the man and the man, or the woman and the woman, is what really counts. When you yourself know that that is not the case, and you say love overcomes everything, many still don't understand what this love is. To prevent a miseducation, to debar oneself from sowing seeds, which seeds will bring catastrophes in future. That itself is love. For many of these people, one may classify them or refer to them as distorted souls. But more can be found in the work, where there will be clear understanding. So many should not just use the word love, and use the word love as a cover for their own personal realities, for their own distortions. After all, you find in the case of war nowadays, people will tell you, oh, we love our land so much, we don't want other people to touch it. And therefore, they are prepared to use missiles to blast everybody out there. They're even prepared to use the nuclear warheads because they love their land. So this word love has been so abused by human personalities in their own shortcoming.
Thank you so much for that answer, Gregory. Tonight's topic is so big, we can talk endlessly about, let's say, 1,000 different questions and scenarios. So I will continue with our discussion. I mentioned about adopted children, Gregory, earlier, and I said, obviously the children who are adopted are not they are given to, not to their blood family, of course, but to some other family, in most cases, let's say. And then when they reach adulthood, or maybe before that, and they are told, okay, they are the children, the guardian, the parents who have taken care of those adopted children reveal to them that actually they're not the real parents. As I said, they may find out before they reach adulthood to know that. And then those adopted children who become adults, let's say, now want to know more about their biological parents, or at least one of the parents. And then normally that's kept secret, who are the biological parents. And then, but as you know, in this world of modern technology, a lot of things can be found out, if not even through a regular search as well, as the world is sort of changing. So what I want to say really, Gregory, when that happens, when the adopted child who's become adult, let's say, now starts looking for their biological parent, and then let's say they find them, and their biological parents happy to sort of come to talk to them. And one of the reasons could be, oh, what happened? Why did they, give up their child, the biological parent? And such questions will arise. Were they not loved or something like that? So when and then they find them, like I said, Gregory, how should the relationship be with their biological parents, once they find them? How should it be?
Most of the time, these things have really no spiritual basis in the case where there is or biological or non-biological. Some of the questions which are asked are only earthly. Look at the case of Moses. Moses did not grow up with the biological parents. Did Moses not grow up in the court of the Pharaoh? When he then matured, because he had tasks to fulfill, he could go back on his own. People ask questions. Of course, they have the right and the free will to ask questions. But how do they respond to these answers? When a child is adopted and provision made for the child to grow up with the best of facilities, would that be wrong? When the child grows up, he or she in adulthood needs to move away from the parents, whether the parents are the adoptive parents or the natural parents. Children need to move so that they themselves can experience further. Whatever must have happened, whatever evil they might have experienced, that they themselves must learn from it. They must learn from it in such a way that they, through the painful experience they have gone through, also through their thoughts and their intuitions, they should ensure never to inflict such painful experience on whomever they are permitted to work with. If, on the other hand, they themselves have learned something which has been of benefit from their adoptive parents or from their so-called natural parents, they should also make use of such to the benefit of others. After all, children are of different spirits. Only the attraction of homogeneity rots those children to their particular parents, or maybe most likely that of reciprocal action, in which the parents need to redeem or the children need to redeem. So there are all sorts of possibilities. Whatever the case, all those involved in that scenario, the adoptive parents, the natural parents, the children themselves, they have cause to be grateful for the opportunities that has come through living here on earth, which nature or which through the laws of nature has been provided for them in order to mature.
Thank you very much for that answer, Gregory. Yet again, you're pointing to where the focus should be. Let's say we look immediately at the earthly aspects rather than, the spiritual aspects. So the point is, a child is going to grow into an adult and somebody is taking care of them and looking after them and helping them to develop. Whether it's the natural parent or whether it's the adoptive parent is not the big issue or big point here. Is that the role that somebody is doing that role, and that's what should be appreciated. So thank you for bringing that out. Now, we said everybody's all human beings. We know we are spiritual beings, and in regards to the family, Gregory, you said people come through attraction. So now we know that, Gregory, obviously in the case of let's say parents and their children, there's the DNA connection there. So does it mean that they obviously they inherit the DNA from the parents, the children inherit the DNA from the parents. So is there anything also like other characteristic or personality that is or strengths, family traits, so something like that, is that also inherited through the DNA?
Absolutely not. When one refers to an attraction, that attraction which lies in the law of the attraction of homogeneity, it only means there are certain types, certain traits which bring these individuals together. When you have such traits being so strong, then you have in that particular scenario the incarnation of that personality into that family. the so-called DNA is only of the physical body of the cells and not of the spirit. Of the spirit are the attractions. Once the human personality takes on the physical body prepared for it, then one may refer to the DNA in that particular instance. However, that only lasts for a limited time, in the sense that once you have the maturing human personality, once it reaches the age of adulthood, many a time the human personality goes this way, man or woman. So you find that subsequently, in the process of maturity, the children sometimes do not anymore agree with their parents. They have now developed different concepts from their parents. So this DNA thing, which is being stressed again and again, is only of the physical body. Hereafter, there is no physical body, so there is no DNA. There, it will be the law of the attraction of similar types. That means they have similar goals, or what one may also refer to as the law of reciprocity, in which these particular human personalities, they have some threads, which threads now bring them together.
Thank you for that answer and picture there, Gregory. I've received a comment from a listener just as you were speaking, and I think it's very, I could say, very good for our discussion. It says, this is the listener talking, I wish I could agree with the importance of family. My own awful experiences in life has been because of my so-called family. I am so much happier since I have removed them from my life. But that is just my experience. Hopefully others have had better luck with theirs. So I don't know, Gregory, if you want to say something on that in response.
Life, families, whatever one may call them, are for experiencing. As the human personality matures, he or she sees things differently. Initially, you might see things the same way, but as you mature, you might have a broader perspective, and therefore that which you accepted initially.
Oh, Gregory, we lost your voice there. Maybe I'll have to do the same thing and get you back into this call. Just give me a second. So just a second, listeners. I'm going to get Gregory back. Folks. Not able to find him. Just a moment. Gregory?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, the same thing happened as earlier. Somehow you were there, but there was no sound from you. So yeah, okay. But we did hear what you said about the being in a family life is about experiencing, and
Yes.
they,
Life is about experiencing. The experiences or the initial maturity as at the time of incarnation, when one has drawn from the necessary experiencing as time flows along, the human personality may yet mature to that stage where that it had accepted initially are no more sufficient for it, and therefore it rejects. In that rejection, those who still hold to the old concepts, you find people then go apart because their concepts and their convictions have now changed. However, one must never forget something, that just as you yourself have challenges in your everyday activities, so are the so-called parents. And in that scenario, one can look towards them with some kind understanding, because the challenges are manifold. Just as you yourself have come to a better level of understanding, one can only wish them well that they themselves mature to that level where they can also understand you.
Thank you for that, Gregory. Dear listeners, you're listening to Bless Radio. It's the Tuesday evening spiritual discussion program. The aim of the show is to introduce you to the spiritual knowledge in the light of truth, the Grail message by Abrushin. And if you're interested in knowing more about the Grail message or want to get a copy of the Grail message for yourself, you can go to this website, which is www.grailmessage.com. I'll spell that. www.grail, Grail, message, message.com. And the topic we're discussing tonight is the importance of family. You can join in the discussion with any questions or comments by contacting us on our UK number, which is 07939 641 958. You can call, text, or use WhatsApp. And if you're outside of UK, it is 0044 79 39 641 958. Again, you can call, text, or use WhatsApp. And we're broadcasting on Bless Radio 1, the number 1.com. And you can also listen to us on YouTube. Go to youtube.com and type in the search box Bless Radio 1, again the number 1, space live stream. That's for the live show. You can also listen to the recording of this show the next day on YouTube. Go to youtube.com and type in the search box Bless Radio 1, the number 1 again, space Grail message, space the topic of the show, which tonight it is the importance of family. And of course, you can listen to our previous shows as well, also on YouTube. Thirdly, we're broadcasting on Zeno. That's ZENO.FM / Bless Radio 1. That's the number 1 again. Now, Gregory, everybody comes from a family, and obviously, we all have our experiences and so on, as in growing and so on. And then, as you mentioned earlier, the children become adults. and they're still part of the family. At least that is how they're considered. Uh, and but then, not but then, and there are occasions when, let's say, these adult children run into difficulties. And yes, in theory, when you're adult, you're not supposed to sort of go back to your parents for help and so on. But let's say it happens. Now, is there any obligation, Gregory, when this situation arises, when these adult children have a need which they cannot handle themselves, they say they go back to their parents, let's say for money or whatever it might be. Is that, and let's say we are not talking about health and such cases, but other cases, so like money and so on. Now, is there any obligation, Gregory, for the parents to support their adult children?
It is very good for parents to so educate their children or to contribute to the education of their children such that these children become independent as quickly as possible. Independent to be able to stand on their own and face the challenges, which challenges have arisen through their weavings in nature, in life. In this particular case, they are free to ask for assistance. That assistance may not be necessarily of financial, but could be of advice, could be of other things which many have not thought about. That they ask their parents, their friends, or some others does not diminish the appreciation in these matters. What has happened is that many a time, some of these so-called children, or adult children, as many say, do not wish to exert themselves to such an extent such that they become independent. In the first instance, the task of every human personality here on earth is to develop the innate talent which has been granted it through the laws of nature, the laws of creation. These talents are the virtues. That is key. In the development of these virtues, one must consider the different types of steadfastness, of faithfulness, of diligence, of heroism, of skill, of wisdom, of compassion, of vigilance, of alertness. There are many of them. These are what parents or non-parents need to impact to those in their society. If many of the education is geared towards this, then the individual personality will so mature in such a way that there will arise deep within the individual that expression of gladness in being able to contribute in the sense of one for all and all for one, and all the pettiness which had been ascribed, which has been attached to children going back to their parents, asking for support, all such things will vanish.
Thank you so much, Gregory, for this answer, and the picture you painted there. Is again, we have to see the real picture, or the bigger picture of what is the purpose of family, and what is the role of the parents, and what is the goal that we are striving for, and to develop an independent human being, and that's how you approach these, looking at whatever topic or whatever aspect of life you're working on. So thank you for this. Another question, Gregory. Obviously, parents bring up their children, let's say in the most cases, and then when the parents reach an elderly age, or at an age where they're not, like you said, we live independently, but sometime when their parents are reaching this old age, they're not capable of living independently, or let's say not in every case, and then, so would it be a duty for I know every country is different, or many countries have different systems, but or cultures, so where the children feel they have to take care of their parents, and in other countries the state takes that role, or that's what the people have in that country have sort of chosen that system, where the state takes care of the parents when there's a need they can't live independently as such. So what I want to ask, Gregory, is there really in this choice of one, okay, let me put it another way first, Gregory. The parents bring up the children, and then those children become adults and so on, and they continue to live. And then at the end of the parents' lives, the parents have their own needs, which they're not able to take care of. Is it an obligation for the children, the adult children now, to look after their parents?
The human personality always has the free will to be helpful or not be helpful. Whether they are made obligations or not is immaterial. The human personality that has compassion on another must understand that when compassion is mentioned, it means that one can sense the challenges of others and put itself in that particular scenario, and now needs some support. That support could come from children, because children to some extent know their parents, could come from the state, or could come from friends. To make rules as to where that support could come from is to expect from some others that which they themselves do not have. If the children have not matured enough to have compassion within themselves, how do you then expect to show compassion on their parents? If the children are not diligent or are not vigilant enough to know of the challenges of others, albeit their parents. If these children lack these virtues, how do you expect them to display that which they lack? These type of scenario where children help their parents, in quotes, may only be due to that of the intellect, where they only show they care, but deep within they don't care. Whatever a person wishes to accomplish, unless that has sprung from deep within, that means from one's intuition, it is basically of no spiritual benefit. And that which the human spirit needs here or hereafter must be of spiritual benefit to it.
Thank you so much for that answer there, Gregory. I now want to move on to what I said at the beginning of the show. As we said, the world population has reached 8 billion, according to UN sort of statement, in the last 24 hours, and which is a good timing for our show, the topic for our show discussion. So my question from that, Gregory, is, the the world population keeps growing, and in some places it's growing exponentially, especially in poorer countries. And the question arises, is this sustainable with the resources that we have? It seems, some of the rises expected in certain countries. I want to give example of Nigeria, which say currently the population is about 216 million, and they're expecting to reach 400 million just by 2050, which is let's say not even 30 years to go. So almost 30 years to go now, which is like a doubling. So, which of course is an incredible pressure. That's just one example, one of the, let's say, the largest jumps that is expected. But I know there's other countries that even there's a decline, but they are the minority. So, Gregory, with the population keep, let's say, growing and growing, I know there's just to add to that, there is the level of growth is now falling from its peak. So I believe in the 1960s it had reached a peak. So since then it has been falling, but still the population is rising. And we know, Gregory, even from last week's discussion with climate change and so on, resources with disasters happening and so on, can it really be sustainable for such a massive, large population of the world?
You had the example of a particular country. You must ask yourself, has a population census been carried out? That is one point. Secondly, most of these figures, their modeling had been done to predict. That means it all depends on the models which have been used when it comes to population. When one then asks the question, is this sustainable? Will there be enough food? In the same sense of doing the modeling about population, one should also do the modeling about the food that is available and the food that has been wasted. In that particular scenario, then one should ask, the food which has been wasted, will it pass on to the other populations, other peoples? Would it have been sufficient? Unless that modeling is done, then you will find that it is not helpful to find out if it is sustainable. There is so much which the earth provides. Initially, the earth was not providing as much food as such, but there were refinements and all sort of investigations. And now so much has been provided in terms of food and resources. So when one is referring to things being sustainable, one should look at the holistic picture as what is available. It is only when that investigation has been done that one can draw conclusions. From the spiritual standpoint, it all depends on the maturity which the human personality has acquired whilst it is still here in the earthly body. So, if the maturity is fast, if it is swift, you will find many a time some that have left the earthly plane don't need to return. That there is so much, or there are so many human personalities here on earth, only mean that there is the need for them to experience and subsequently to mature in accordance, not with earthly expectation, but in accordance with spiritual expectations, because they are of the Spirit. But what is found nowadays, many a person that has incarnated only want to enjoy themselves to the detriment of others. That is a completely wasted earth life. For that which needs to be cultivated, even with the challenges, are the virtues. Once the human personality focuses on the cultivation of the virtues and lives aright in accordance with the laws of creation, when the time comes that it departs from here, in which it has lost the physical body, it will not need to return as such, or it will proceed joyfully towards its home in the spiritual paradise. In that case, it only means the population explosion will reduce.
Thank you so much for this answer there, Gregory. Now, I've got one final question as we're coming to the end of the show now. As you know, or hopefully a lot of people in the world know, there's the Football World Cup starting in Qatar in a week's time. And there's been a lot of political, let's say, debate or discussion going on. And it seems that one side wants to impose their views on another country, and which they think is the way the world should be. So there were two aspects which were the main points in this, which we know very well. One is they said in Qatar they have been building the football stadiums with migrant labor, but with not very good health and safety protection, with many thousands potentially have died because people don't have the exact numbers, but so that was an abuse there. And then there's another point which seems to be having a bigger impact in the news about, they call it LGBTQ rights, let's say, which is, let's say, not allowed in Qatar, but let's say in other Western world they are considered absolutely normal or necessary for freedom. So Now, what I basically want to say, Gregory, there are, let's say, two views, or two systems. Let's say one system that does it, allow it, and the other system doesn't allow it, whatever it is the reasoning for it. And then, but it seems that one group thinks they have the right to sort of not force their views, but to really make it necessary that this other country has to, respect these views or enforce those ways. One thing what surprised me, the other countries who are, let's say, having different views, they don't say you should change your way to what we do. So where I want to have the context, Gregory, we said this world is a family. We were talking at the moment, the small unit family, but now let's think of the whole world as a family. Is that how you would tell another family member, please change your ways to the way we want it, the way we live, and you expect the other side to now cooperate or work with you, and we call that respectful. So I just wanted you, Gregory, to say something about that.
Well, when one uses the word family in a spiritual sense, one was referring to the goal of the human personality, which is of spirit. That goal is the cultivation of the virtues. Only when these virtues have been cultivated, only then will the human personality be able to use them in the region which they have been permitted to incarnate or back home in paradise. Those virtues that one has enumerated many of the times. The question will now be, those who advocate for certain qualities, for certain permissions that it has to suit them, are they themselves prepared to see the other side, to see the other challenges of others? For those who ask for compassion, are they themselves compassionate? For those who ask for skill, are they themselves skillful? For when one needs to examine these things very carefully, that which you yourself demand from others, you yourself, to some extent, must be prepared to give to others. In these matters, there you will find only one-sidedness again and again. So I'm not quite sure who makes these demands. What is key here, whatever the activity is, if it is not virtuous, then it is not right.
Thank you very much for that answer there, Gregory. Listeners, we've come to the end of the show tonight. Hope you enjoyed the topic, the importance of family, and the discussion, of course. I'm going to now read from the Grail message, the foreword of the Grail message, which is called or titled, For Your Guidance. The bandage falls, and belief becomes conviction. Liberation and redemption lie only in conviction. I am addressing earnest seekers only. They must be able and willing to examine this matter objectively. Religious fanatics and irresponsible enthusiasts may hold aloof, for they are detrimental to the truth. As for the malevolent and prejudice, they shall find their sentence in the very words. The message will strike only those who still carry within them a spark of truth and the yearning to be true human beings. To all such it will become the shining light and staff. It will lead them unswervingly out of all the chaos of the present-day confusion. The following word does not bring a new religion, but is intended as the torch to help all serious listeners or readers find the right path, which leads them to the longed-for height. Only he who bestirs himself can advance spiritually. The fool who uses extraneous aids for this, in the form of ready-made opinions of others, only walks his path as if on crutches, while ignoring his own healthy limbs. But the moment he boldly uses all the abilities which lie dormant within him, awaiting his call to help in his ascent, he is employing the talent entrusted to him in accordance with his Creator's will, and will easily overcome all obstacles that seek to divert him. Therefore, awake. Genuine faith lies only in conviction, and conviction comes solely through an inflexible weighing and examining. See that you are truly alive in the wonderful creation of your God. Abdushin. Dear listeners, if you are interested in knowing more about the Grail message or want a copy of the Grail message for yourself, you can go to this website, which is www.grailmessage.com. I'll spell that. www.grail, Grail, message, message.com. Gregory, is there anything you'd like to say to the listeners to say goodbye?
Wishing the listeners a beautiful week.
And the same from me, listeners. We'll be back as usual next Tuesday, 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. UK time, with another topic. Thank you for joining us tonight. God bless. Good night.
George looks saying keep it locked, keep it locked, keep it locked, keep it locked.